Hi, my name is Nikki Lerzak. I'm the Instructional Services Librarian, and hopefully this video will help you understand how to do Chicago citation for your history paper for Mr. Palmer's class. I'm going to move kind of quickly, so stick with me. So, first thing we want to do is talk about how do we know what Chicago looks like. From the library's website, we do have a link to our citation guides, and Chicago is one of those. We have a PDF document. Here it is. We cover a lot of ground in this, depending on what type of sources, just like MLA and APA, depending on what you're citing. You want to look at examples for that type of material. And just like MLA and APA, Chicago breaks up into basically that back page of your paper, in this case a bibliography, and then in the text of your paper is the parenthetical or in text, but Chicago likes footnotes. So it's the same concept, only they are down at the bottom of the page and they are numbered. Same idea, different look. So you'll see how we turn one of those things into the other. They go back and forth pretty easily. If you've got one, you can easily make the other, and vice versa. And there's also a shortened version. We'll talk about that. So we're going to bounce back and forth a little bit. First things first, if I go back to my library's webpage now, and I go to the history databases, so here's databases A to Z. Here are my history databases, and they are in a ranked order so that the ones we think are best are at the top. You can see that JSTOR is one of those databases we use a lot. The JSTOR database is a little tough to work with, but has good stuff. So here you can see my search for United States, in quotes, and Civil War, in quotes. That's to keep those two phrases together, United States together, Civil War together, and the term industrialization. And the limits that I've also placed on this, or that I will place on this, are to limit to American Studies, because that's my topic, is very American Studies, and absolutely for this class, limit also to history. So now let's search it. All right, so I get a number of articles, and there are mixed in with those articles book chapters. Sometimes a good book chapter is worth its weight in gold. And I came across one I thought that looked interesting here, Industrialization, Immigration, and Urbanization, the Post-Civil War Years. And it's from something called Envisioning New Jersey, An Illustrated History of the Garden State, written by Maxine Lurie and Richard Veit, published by Rutgers University Press in 2016. So it's an academic press, it's relatively recent, it sounds like an interesting book. So if I wanted to read it, I can click on it here. It's a little challenging to read it in here because the font is pretty small. I could try making that a bit bigger. It's still a little more challenging. So in this case, you might consider a download the PDF option, which I have right here. So here is what I get, a cover page with the details we looked at a moment ago. And then I've got my book, and this is a little bit easier to see. So, and you can see it goes on. The other benefit to having a PDF is that I will see those different page numbers, because for in-text or footnote citations, I'm going to want to know where that's coming from. So let's talk about how we would cite this. The databases all have tools to help you with a citation. In this case, there's a button called Cite This Item. It gives me the MLA, APA, and Chicago. The thing to note, all of my citation tools are giving you that back page of your paper. They're giving you the bibliography entry. They're not giving you a footnote. So you will have to basically take those bibliography entries and convert them to footnotes. But like I said, it is easy to do. So we're going to copy this. Sure. And I'm going to come to my Google Doc that I've been writing. It's not a very good Google Doc. But you can see I have U.S. history paper for Palmer. I've got some sentences. I hope you write a much better paper than I do. And here's where I have my bibliography. Now, the bibliography for this, you can see I've already created this one. So let's go find them. They are the bottom bibliography entry. There they are. Let's reveal them. Okay, so here's what I just got from JSTOR. As I review this and I compare it to my Chicago entry for a part of a book, specifically what I like to see is a part of an online book. So when I come to my part of a book, I can see chapter or part of a book. All of my examples in this section are for print books. So I'm going to keep looking to see, here's ebooks. And here's a part, this one that starts with Countryman Edward. This is a part of an ebook. So I can see I need an author, I need a title, I need to know what book it came from. If there is an editor listed, which I didn't see, you would include it. If you don't have it, you can't put it. The page range for the section, this one happens to have a volume. publisher, where, who, and when, and then either a link or the name of the publisher. So if I go back to what I have, I've got my authors, I've got my title, I can see which part of a book it's from. Like I said, there's no editor and I don't have a volume, but there's my page range. I've got my publisher information. I am lacking a location, and I've got, I think I'm missing a little bit more link. Yes, I am missing a little more link. Let's bring that out as well. All right. But so you are missing a location here. Is it hard to find in this case? Not really, because if I come back to JSTOR, and I come looking over here at information about my book, I can see there's a link to the Rutgers University Press page inside the database. And I can see right here that this is from New Brunswick, New Jersey. So I'm going to take that little detail. This is common. All of my databases will usually have the right level of information, but they won't always put it in the citation. Do not blindly trust any citation tool. Always double check. See if you're missing something that's readily available. So now I've got all of my information. Notice that I've already formatted this correctly. So it is hanging indent. It is also single spaced. So now if I come up here and I want to turn that into a footnote, the way to put footnotes in is, you can see I already have my numbers up here. These are footnotes. And what you would do is you would put your mouse where you want the footnote to be. I'm in Google Docs, but the same holds true for Word. And I'm going to come up here to insert footnote. In Word, it's references, but same idea. And here's footnote. So it would put that little number 1. And I'm going to come down here and reveal my first footnote. There it is. And how do I convert from one to the other? Well, if you can look back here, you can see that this started off with last name, first name, and then the second author got to be normal. And then I have a period. I've got my title, and then I have a period. I have the book it was in, and after page numbers, I have a period. So I have all these periods that I need to sort of convert to make a footnote. So I flip people's names because footnotes become normal order of your name. And then where I had a period, I've put a comma. I have a comma here now, so which means that where this used to be capital I for in, it's now lowercase I for in. I put my publisher location, date, name of publisher, all of that goes inside parentheses. And now I only want a specific page number, and then I end with that citation link, or what I have from the database as a stable web address. So that's how I turn what was a bibliography entry into a footnote. Names flip, periods become commas, publication information moves inside parentheses. All right, let's do this again. Now let's do it with an article. So from my history page, this time I would come to the New York Times Historical, which is a really great source. And the New York Times Historical, you can see I'm going to do a search for Civil War, again keeping that phrase inside quotes to keep it together, and industry. And the cool thing about New York Times is that I can do a specific date range limit, and I'm going to limit this to the years of the Civil War and do my search. And now I've got an interesting looking article. This is the effects of the Civil War in America. My browser doesn't want to display it correctly. I get a big blank spot down here, but I do have a download PDF option, so if I ran into trouble, I could get it a different way. And here is my article. So I've got effects of the Civil War in America. It's not a very long article. It's a New York Times, column article. But let's say I want to cite it. I have a citation option. Again, I am going to get a bibliography entry, but you can see that there are a lot of citation styles here. So we are using the latest edition of Chicago, the notes and bibliography entry. So I would take all this, copy it, paste it. Let's go take a look in my doc. So now it is a middle entry. There it is. Let's reveal it. All right, so here's what I just got. And again, I'm going to double check this against what I have in my citation guide. This is a newspaper article. You can see I even have an example of a New York Times article. So I would love ideally an author's last name, comma, first name, period, title, period, the name of the source, a comma, the date, a comma. I don't have an edition, and then the link to the thing. So what do I have? Well, I have a title, period, I have the source, comma, the date, period, and then a link. What I do have also, though, is all in caps, which is not going to fly. So let's format that and turn that into title case, which is a cool tool if you don't know about it. Now I'm happy with this. So how do I take my bibliography entry for this and turn it into a footnote? Well, again, I would have come up here, put my mouse where I wanted the footnote to be. You'll notice it's counting for me, so this is number 2. That's perfect. So my second footnote, there you are, revealed. Same order, but, comma, oops, missed my comma, New York Times, and I believe, yeah, oops, comma. All right, so I'm good. Notice there's a space between those. Again, that first line is indented here. It's the opposite of the hanging indent at the end, where now I've got a space between these. So single-spaced, lines between, single-spaced, lines between, but the indents flip from footnotes to bibliography. All right. We got one more source. Let's say we got a good web page, because the web's a great place, and I did a search for United States in quotes, and Civil War in quotes, and industrialization, and I saw a really great website coming from the National Park Service. And I thought, all right, I'm going to take a look at that. So here's my great thing. Now, websites, no citation tool, so I've got to pull out the bits and pieces as best I can. What do I need for a web page citation? All the basic stuff. Author's name if I can have it. Title. Who sponsored or owned the website, a date, some kind of date, publication, revision, modification, and if they don't have one, when did I look at it, and then a web address. All right, so putting all of that together, what do I create for this? Well, this guy, he is my third, and he comes in first here because you'll notice I have organize this alphabetically. My author, let's go up to this. My author, Benjamin T. Arrington, is up at the top, but for my bibliography, he's Arrington, comma, Benjamin, so he's A, that's E, that's L, so alphabetical. So my author, period, the title of the page, period, the National Park Service is the one sponsoring it. I had a last updated, so I went all the way through this. There was no date at the top, but all the way down at the bottom, luckily for me, in the corner, there's a last updated. So I was able to grab that piece of information. And I have last updated. You'll see I've included last updated to say what that date was. And then I've got the link. How do I turn that into, well, again, put my mouse here, insert my footnote. This is my third footnote. So let's go find it. There it is. Let's reveal it. Okay. Turning this from a bibliography, last name, comma, first name, becomes normal order name, comma, web page title, comma, National Park Service, comma. Just like up here, where I had to, after I put a comma in, I had to make this a lowercase I. This becomes a lowercase l because it's not a period before it now. And a comma goes before it, and a period at the end of it. Okay. Now, lastly, short notes. Each of these items will tell you bibliography entry, footnote entry, and then most of them will have a section about the short notes. After you've cited your source one time, you don't do that full citation again. Only the first time you cite a source do you put all of these details in. So if I had another one that I wanted to grab, let's say, from that book, that first citation here, the Lurie Veit book, and I said, I use that again, well, what does that look like? A short note in this case, when we reveal it, you can see becomes just their last names. A shortened title, it's in quotation marks here, it stays in quotation marks. A page number, remember I knew the page numbers because I have that PDF, so that's handy. What about a web page or an article? Well, let's say I wanted to use something else from that one web page by Benjamin Arrington. What would I do to him? Well, I'd insert my footnote. Let's reveal him. So he's just last name, shortened title. There's no page numbers with the web, so I can't put one. Good to go. All right. My formatting says these should also probably be smaller, so you might come in and also tweak these. There is a guide in the Chicago style sheet that we have that does talk to you about page formatting. So I'm going to make this all smaller. Usually your footnotes are smaller, and that's what I thought. That was kind of inconsistent. I'm like, some of these are the right size and some of these are bigger. So yeah, your footnotes are usually smaller. If you have questions, ask a librarian Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. We can answer your questions. Please reach out.